Good afternoon, OmniDogs and OmniKittens, and welcome to the OmniDog and OmniCat comic book review show, where I have a mouthful of food. Okay, I'm going to do it really fast.
Oh, no one minds. No one minds when it's Jess.
And that is my co-host, OmniCat, also known as Kristen.
Thanks for having me, as always.
Thanks for being
I'm
here.
getting over a cold, so if I sound a little stuffy, that's what that is. But,
Thanks for being here.
you know, I haven't had sneeze attacks in a while, so it's been good. I'm on the up and up. You know those sneezes that attack you?
Yes.
They're not good. I had those for a while.
Yeah. Those are gross. I mean, I hate them. They take over your whole world for like 30 seconds.
No control. It's terrible.
Yeah. So Kristen and I were debating what we could do before the show.
Right before.
Like 2 seconds before the show. We couldn't decide how many comic books we wanted to talk about, and I think it probably depends on how many people we end up having in the chat. If we have a lot of people or a few people, Kristen seems to be in more of a chat mood than a review mood, so I'm fine fielding questions from people. I'm fine reviewing books. I have a couple of books that I wanted to talk about, and so did Kristen, but I'm fine talking about the books we reviewed, or I'm sorry, the books we read. But also, once we get a few more people in the chat, I'm going to show everybody my new setup, which is I replaced the table. It's actually kind of a dumb setup that I had. It was a table with, I still have the box that my laptop is set on. It's the Thor Legends San Diego Comic-Con box that has some really cool Legends action figures in it, but it's the perfect height to put my laptop on to view me, and so it actually never gets used. It's always on display, but the figures never get seen. They're cooped up in there because, of course, if you take them out of the box, then the box isn't valuable anymore. Mm-hmm. I have to get rid of that mindset. I want to take those figures out because there's a special Jane Foster Thor in there that I really want, and probably there's a Malekith and there's a
just take them out. Let them breathe. I mean,
yeah, I should do that.
I've never been an inbox person either. I did that for a while back, like several years ago when I got really into Funko Pops. I'm like, I need to keep them in. Well, guess what? I've been selling my Funko Pops lately. I still have the boxes, but I took them out and no one seems to care. They're still giving me the money. So
that reminds me, I got to get Ralphie because it's Ralphie's turn to come out and shine because it's Christmas time. And it's Bunny Suit Ralphie.
Oh, is he flocked?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my one exception to the box thing, because those flocked ones will just immediately have dust all over them.
Yeah. I got to take this one upstairs. This is the only pop my wife lets out of the glass cages that the other pops are in. She lets it be part of the Christmas decoration.
That counts.
Yeah, it really does. Taylor Brown is babysitting, so his son is watching his first OmniDog stream. Hey, Sam. Hi, Sam. How you doing, Sam? Sam Brown. Big Sam Brown. Right on, man. So what have we decided to do then?
I mean, I have plenty to review, so I guess we could just do whatever for however long.
Sure. Well, I like the idea of doing the TKO books. I read 2 of them, and you read all of them.
That's right.
So I don't mind having the 2 I haven't read yet be spoiled, because I'm going to read them anyway. It doesn't matter.
Well, and I could talk about them without spoiling them.
Okay. Well, yeah. Okay.
You want me to go ahead and do that?
Sure.
Okay. So, you know what? Let's talk about this for a second. These all had a really crazy smell to me. Did you smell them? The ink is it's not even a bad smell. It just really smells of ink.
Huh.
Did you not notice that? Does your smell? Mine definitely smell. Ooh.
You definitely smell inky.
Yeah. So every time I like turn a page, it wafted up in me, and I was like, "Oh, what is that?" Yeah, it's ink. It's not even bad. It's just like really.
I do notice it.
And just one other thing, you know, everyone probably knows these are oversized trades. I don't have a regular trade near me. Yeah, I do. So, just for comparison, they are oversized, and I like the quality of these trades. Just to talk about them for a second, and the page, you know, the pages aren't like super glossy, and I kind of like that. But I don't know about you. I was having a gutter loss issue. Now I know there's a certain amount of gutter loss you get with trades, I suppose, but usually it's pretty easy. Like here's an image one that just, you know, you can really get open and have no issue.
Wait, let me highlight you.
You know, you don't have an issue getting it open, reading in the cracks, right? Well, these TKO trades, let me find a good example. Like, it was really hard. I mean, look at that. Like, the bubbles are pretty much in, and it's hard to even get that open. You know what I mean?
I didn't notice that in the books that I was reading, but I guess I can sort of see it. I guess I can sort of see what you're talking about now.
Yeah, I just felt like I had to really, like, bend in there, and it was difficult. Like, so that was kind of annoying. They're very tight trades, but they are good quality trades. Other than that issue that I felt like I kept having every now and then, it was really noticeable. But otherwise, I like them. Although, I don't know about yours, people do complain about damage upon shipping. All of mine are dinged up on the corners.
Really? Mine came in perfect shape, and I bought mine because I forgot they were sending review copies. So I bought them when they had buy one, get one free back in May or whenever it was.
Yeah.
And they sent them in a nice package, and they came perfect.
Well, I guess you're lucky. All my corners are dinged. That's fine. That's fine. I'll deal with it. And they did send me review copies, so I appreciate it. And they were free, so whatever, right?
Yeah.
But I will talk about Eve of Extinction because you haven't read that yet.
I haven't.
All right. So this one is about basically all of the male species. And I'll say that because it's humans and you find out animals. I'll try not to spoil everything.
Okay.
But they start... Let me find the first one that happens here. It starts raining one day, and you know, they start getting like bloody eyes and feeling real weird, and then they like turn into these horrific monster creatures. So it is basically a zombie apocalypse, but they're not zombies. They're like overpowered monsters that get really, really big and crazy and try to kill everybody, right? And it's all the males. So what you end up getting is a lot of badass females trying to survive this horrible apocalypse, where unfortunately all the men they love are turning into these horrible creatures, right?
Oh.
And it really focuses on one family of this daughter, this kind of adopted mom, and her biological mom that comes into her life, who had a lot of drug problems, but she's trying to, like, you know, work it all out and get close to her daughter again. So there's like this family drama kind of going on while this horrible apocalypse is going on, and they're all trying to like save each other and push all that aside because they still care about each other, which is nice. But yeah, all the guys start turning into these crazy big monsters. And cool. There were a ton of like zombie tropes within this, like zombie apocalypse tropes. But I'm someone who likes those stories, so I didn't mind that at all. It's pretty gruesome at times, and there's a little bit of blood, and these creatures are crazy weird. But I found that element unique. And again, you end up with this cast of only women, because that's all who's left. And that's pretty cool. I'll say the ending, I won't ruin the ending, but it kind of leaves you... like, you know what happens, but it could continue. And I kind of wonder if TKO will ever continue past these 6-issue things they're doing.
Oh, okay.
But I still like the ending. I didn't have an issue with it. I felt it was a little bit abrupt. And after reading all 4 of these, there was one I'd say kind of wasn't like that. The other ones I felt have somewhat abrupt endings, but I still liked them all actually, and I didn't have a major issue with any of the endings. I was just like, oh, this could have used another issue and a half, maybe, you know. But I really like the art in this one, and again, it's just a big old zombie-ish apocalypse, but they're big monster creatures, and they end up looking real crazy. Let me see if I can find. There we go. They just kind of start evolving throughout the whole thing and get bigger and worse, and it's pretty gruesome. So I really enjoyed this, and I totally recommend it.
Cool.
And I could jump to the other one you didn't read if you'd like.
Sure.
And that would be my favorite.
Yeah, that's why I'm saving it for last.
Yeah, and I should have, but I started with this because I was like, I can't wait. It's definitely my favorite. People are hyping up Sentient, Jeff Lemire, Gabriel Waltz does the art. It's fantastic. So if you don't know what this is about, it's set in like a spaceship, which they're heading to like a colony. It's this, a lot of families are involved, and I don't know how to tell you what this is about without kind of ruining the beginning, but basically something happens, and we'll tell you exactly what, and all of the adults on board are killed. So all of these children who are like really young to like, I want to say the main girl's maybe 13 or so. I'm not positive, but you know, they're still pretty young, and they have to figure out how to survive, how to run this ship, how to keep going to their destination. And it's called Sentient because the ship is sentient. Basically, there's the ship talks to them and kind of becomes their mother after all of their parents die.
Oh, I can't wait to read this.
Yeah, her name is Valerie, and they talk to her, and she helps train them to continue on with the ship and be able to do their mission and stay alive. And she knows she has to after this horrific like massacre of all the adults happen. And Valerie's awesome. So yeah, the ship is sentient. That's why it's called Sentient. I don't want to tell you anything else. I just think everyone needs to read this. The art's wonderful. The story's amazing. And it has a great ending. It's definitely worth the hype. People are hyping it up. It's totally worth it. Everyone knows I love Lemire, but they also know I didn't like Plutona, so I don't love everything he does. But this is definitely worth the hype.
Plutona. I found Plutona the other day in a box. I wondered where it was.
I mean, I'm surprised you still have it. I still have mine, but I feel like I can't get rid of it. I want to.
What I should do with it.
Yeah. But if you're going to read one of them, I did like all of them, but this is the one you guys should pick up.
Yeah. Okay. Now, I read Pound for Pound and The Bank so far.
You want to talk about those?
Sure. Yeah. We might as well.
Which one?
Oh, let's talk about Pound for Pound.
Okay.
Because I thought this was an interesting... Pound for Pound and The Banks were both sort of ethnically diverse. The most ethnically, culturally diverse one of them was Pound for Pound. Mm-hmm. As far as being way out of my stratosphere zone of knowledge, was it looks like it was based in a border town, a Hispanic. A Latina woman is kind of an underground MMA fighter, and she owes a debt to a little person gangster who ends up stealing her sister from her. Whoops, I can't show that part. Steals her sister from her, and she has these blackouts and memory losses of when they crossed the border. And as she recalls it, they were, whoops, can't show you that part. There are
That's like the one that had some risque stuff, yeah.
Yeah. There are some parts in this book that there's some memory lapses. She recalls that they were attacked at the border as they were crossing from Mexico into the U.S., that they were attacked and her father and mother were killed, and a monster had taken them over, had killed them, and she had escaped, and a guy was there who ended up being their benefactor and brought them into the country and took care of them, and he plays a big part in the book. And so she knows that the dwarf gangster has stolen her sister, and she wants revenge. And so it goes from there into what I thought was a pretty well drawn out, complicated sort of story. It's not complicated, but it leads a lot of different places that I didn't think it was going to lead. And I sort of liked the art. It sort of reminded me of something that you might get from what's that series that I can never get through that Los Bros Hernandez do?
Love and Rockets?
Love and Rockets, yeah. It sort of reminds me of that sort of. But and it leads a lot of different places. It leads across the borders back to Mexico for some craziness. It leads back across to America for some craziness. And the more I think about it, the more there is one kind of this is some of the craziness as they go into Mexico, as they go into Mexico to try and track down a lead. They come back into the States, even though they're legal citizens, and these Minutemen kind of crazed people challenge them and say, you're not from here, whereas they clearly are, and they have to go up against something like Thor Ragnarok, a fight in the snake pit against this huge-ass crazy guy. And she endures one of her blackouts, and she ends up winning. Well, I don't want to say what happens. But it's I thought it was actually pretty well told, and there's lots of craziness they go through to find the sister, if they ever find her. But what they have to do what they go through to find her is pretty crazy and pretty interesting and fairly. I did like the art. I thought it was pretty interesting, and I thought the writing was good. I did have one issue with sort of the Mojo-ish character at the end. If you know who I'm talking about, the main bad guy. You had me all the way up until him, but
I'm with you.
Yeah, but I can sort of overlook him because everything else seemed kind of almost believable to me, because I truly believe in the evil of man. So I believe in all this evil that happened. Yeah. But except for that one last part of the Mojo type almost character. But I ended up enjoying Pound for Pound.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it too. I really liked the art. I thought it was like really cartoony, but like in a nice way.
Yeah.
And not in a, I like all cartoony art, but it just like look at her eyes. I don't know. I thought it was really well done, and the expressions and the way they showed everything. I haven't seen this artist in something else. I think they said they worked on Swamp Thing by who did it? Like Scott Snyder's maybe or something in the back. Hold on, let me look. Swamp Thing with Scott Snyder and Jeff Lemire. Yeah. Which I haven't read, but that's something they did. But yeah, I really enjoyed this art, and I'm totally with you. We can't really say who the kind of big bad is at the end.
Yeah.
But everything was, although this is all really over the top and really dramatic and kind of beyond disbelief, but I feel the same way, because I'm like, I could believe that all of that happened until that end thing where I'm like, hold on a second.
Yeah.
But I can also overlook it and be like, okay. Now, I'd say the same thing, like I kind of mentioned earlier. the end was so abrupt, but I'm also not sure how else they could have ended it. Because like you kind of get the I'm looking now, I can't really show you any of this because it spoils it, but you know, the thing that happens at the end happens. And then there's like, let's see, 1, 2, 3 pages of what's actually happens after the big climactic thing, and that's it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's kind of like, oh, it's a little abrupt, but I can kind of get over that too because I did enjoy it. It's absolutely a crazy ride. The twists and turns that I'm not going to give away are things that like I didn't predict. I don't know, maybe, and that's fun when you're like, oh, I don't know where the story's going, and then it goes in a place, and you're like, oh man, like, and I thought the main character is really likable, especially her kind of suit, like the guy who, well, I can't say that, but the guy who's like her father, he was awesome.
Yeah, right.
So yeah I enjoyed it.
Yeah. Carla, all you've missed so far is we're just talking about TKO books. And we have one more to go. So yeah, I enjoyed Pound for Pound. I thought it was well done. It just that little, I didn't mind the ending as much as you did, except for that Mojo type character thing that I don't know.
Well, and I don't know that I minded the ending. It was just like everything is ramped up, and then they finally get to the ending, and then it's like, here's 2 pages about what happens. And I'm like, oh,
I see what you're saying. You could have used a little bit more of what it was like after.
Yeah, and I was happy to see what it was like after, but I'm kind of like, oh, I would have liked to see like a few pages of that, but I also give a crap about people like going grocery shopping in comics. So what do I know, right? I'm just like, I just want to see you live your life. Like,
the first book I read was The Banks, and I thought this was I liked this book. This also was a bit of a ethnically diverse kind of book. It's based on, it starts back in the 60s with an African-American woman and man who end up being thieves, highly successful thieves that do high-end kind of safe cracking. And they raise a daughter who also joins them in the family business. But the granddaughter ends up becoming an investment banker and wanting nothing to do with their family business, and also has a white boyfriend, which I thought was interesting. And he's not just there for arm candy; he actually plays a role in it. So the granddaughter, who's the investment banker, ends up. This is a much simpler plot. She ends up in her investment banking job, finds an alias for a guy that has a ton of dough stashed at his house. She gets passed over as an associate and decides she's angry about it and decides she wants to get into the family business and wants to go to this guy's incredibly secure, rich house, break into the vault and steal what he's got. And she's got to use everything under the sun to try and get close to him, because he ends up having a crush on her and invites her to his house, and she's trying to keep it all business just to get information on the guy. Not only does he have bullion and stuff like that, but he's got a bunch of Bitcoin, like $500 million worth of Bitcoin on a hard drive in a vault. And don't anybody in the chat tell me what Bitcoin is. I don't even care what Bitcoin is. I know it's electronic currency. That's all I care about it. I deal in cash, stocks, and comic books only. I don't want to know about cryptocurrency. But it gets pretty involved from there. They've also got a detective that's on to the family that wants to bust them. And she's got to flirt like a mad woman with this guy. There's also a revenge factor in it, and the boyfriend's brought into it after he sees her getting flirty with the rich guy, and then there's like an ultimate bad guy. There always is, who they want to take revenge on. And now this ending to me, I will agree. This ending to me seemed to be a little abrupt. This one seemed really abrupt to me. I could have used a little bit smoother landing. I thought this one just kind of went at the end. I still liked it. I thought it told a good story. I thought the art was fine. But yeah, I'm sort of with you on how abrupt the ending was, because it was a good story that I thought was well told, but I'd like a smoother landing on the ending.
Yeah, and I thought that for 3 out of the 4 that I read. So it makes me wonder, again, if they're going to keep this 6-issue thing, if maybe some of these writers needed to go beyond that, at least an issue, to like flesh out that ending. I don't know. But I can get past it too, because I also really like this one. I felt like it was a story that I haven't seen told before. It felt really unique to me within all the comics I've read. And like you said, the cast was really diverse. It just, even visually, like there's, let's see, so it's about a family of generations. You have the granddaughter, her 2 moms, and her.
Oh yeah, there's that. That was really diverse too.
Yeah, which is awesome. One of the women has like a ton of tattoos and a shaved head. You just don't see that enough, which is silly because people look like that, right? So, and they were all like thieves and criminals, and those people exist too. And you just, I don't know, we don't see any of that depicted. So I found it really fascinating and interesting, and I had a good time. Roxane Gay wrote this. Ming Doyle did the art. I like both of them. Jordi Belair did the colors. He's great too. So yeah, I would recommend this one. I'm with you on the ending. I think this is maybe the most abrupt ending.
Yeah.
Because it was pretty much like, woo, okay. And I mean, it told you what happens. Like you're not like left wondering, but it was pretty abrupt.
Yeah. Okay, so those are our feelings on the TKO books, and Taylor Brown asks a really good question. And would you say Wave 2 is as good as Wave 1 of TKO? And now I can't say because I've only read half the books.
And I haven't read any.
I'm sorry?
I haven't read any of those, so.
Oh, you haven't read any Wave 1?
None of them.
Oh.
None of them at all, so I don't know.
You answer that. You're going to have to save that for when the Omni Bros review them on Monday.
Yeah, the one thing I feel like people wish is that these were on IST, because they would be more accessible to a lot of people. Instead of paying $20 cover price, that's a lot for a lot of people, especially us who are used to getting discounts on these things and paying like nearly half off on some of them, or at least 30%. You can't find that anywhere. So that's what stopped me from getting the first wave. I'm like, I'm not going to pay $20 for a trade. I'm just not. Like, I can't justify that for myself,
Yeah, no, I get it.
Now, I think Sentient is worth your $20, though. If I'm going to tell you to buy one, it's still this one. I think Jess will agree when he reads it.
I'll go upstairs and read it right after this.
Good. And again, smell your books when you get them. I want people to recognize this weird smell that comes out of these books.
That's so interesting. It didn't hit me until I stuck my nose right in them.
Maybe because I've been clearing my sinuses and stuff. So I'm reading, I'm like, what is that?
One book I want to talk about that I had a blast reading, and I think anybody who's into the Black Hammer stuff, this is only it's from the world of Black Hammer, but it only has it has just a little bit to do with Black Hammer, and that's Black Hammer 45. This has to do with a crew of minority soldier flyers, flyboys, sort of like the Tuskegee Airmen, and they have to go in the last days of the war. It's told in recollections from one of the surviving members, one of the two surviving members. He goes into the guy's Asian restaurant, and they're the two surviving guys. And he goes in, and they talk about, they reminisce about the ending days of the war when the Black Hammer unit, Black Hammer was the leader of these kind of Tuskegee airmen, but they didn't only have, and they did fantastic exploits, which the book talks about, just amazing exploits that are extraordinary. Like they would be fighting, what's this guy's name? The Ghost Hunter. He was like almost an extrasensory Nazi flyer that would be able to, all he cared about was just getting the mission done, killing people, cared nothing for any of the riches or rewards, and he was unable to be killed, it seemed. And they knew on this final mission they would have to go up against him. And they also had to deal, they were sent on a final mission to save these people from a concentration camp that knew secret atomic codes. And they had to deal with these giant machines run by the communists called the Red Tide that were run by Soviet soldiers. So it's very supernatural and very Jeff Lemire. I forgot to say it's by Jeff Lemire with art by Matt Kint. And so it deals with these three characters, the Ghost Hunter, the Red Tide pilot, and Black Hammer, as they are all racing to try and get these people out of the concentration camp. The Soviets want them for themselves, the Americans want them, and then the Nazis, of course, want them dead, or for themselves. And so there's like a winged bat that's a Nazi that flies and breaks up one of Black Hammer's squadron. And here's Abe Slam. He's involved in it. So he's from the Black Hammer universe, as you remember. And these adventures are extremely fun, and they're really well told. You have to be into Matt Kint's art. As you know, it's kind of scratchy, and so I have no problem with it. So you're going to have to, and you can see that there's a lot of fighting on the ground, fighting in the air, fighting that's supernatural, and there's all kinds of bad craziness going on that happens. It's named, and here we have the Red Tide finds I think their name's the Green Bombs. The Red Tide finds the Green Bombs first, and in these giant machines, and Black Hammer has to go in and try and rescue them. And it is just a blast of a book. It is just super, super fun. And I don't want to show you anything more because, see, what part does Ray Fox? Oh, Ray Fox and Jeff Lemire wrote it, and the script was by Ray Fox, and the artist is Matt Kint, and the colorist is Charlene Kent. So here's a picture of the whole crew right here. And so they go every year to honor the Black Hammer himself at his in Europe at his memorial site. There he is in his monument. So if you like Black Hammer, this is a good book. This is a wonderful supernatural kind of really fun, tangentially related to Black Hammer book. I dig it.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to read that soon. I, just like you, love all the side stories.
Yeah.
They're so good. People are asking about a library edition for those. I think they're going to put all of those side stories in one. It hasn't been, It hasn't been confirmed, but I can see that completely happening. There are so many people are buying it. I think it'll happen.
Yeah.
Speaking of Nazis, I have a Nazi book.
Ooh, Nazis.
I mean, boo Nazis, right?
I mean, yeah.
Come on. So I read White Bird by R.J. Palacio. You may know R.J. Palacio, you may not, but she wrote this book, Wonder, several years ago. It became a big phenomenon. It's about this boy, Augie. He has a facial deformity, and people bully him at school, and it's him living his life and trying to still be kind to these people who are terrible to him and to spread that message. So it became a sort of, people really latched onto the messages. It's a novel. I'm not showing you pictures. It's just a novel.
What the hell is that?
But that's where this author came from. So when she came out with a graphic novel, I was like, oh my gosh. So it says right there, it's a Wonder story. So she did a lot of these side novellas, and then she came out with this graphic novel. So these are characters from that universe, but you don't have to have read that book at all to know that. So this kid, Julian, it starts out, present day with Julian. He was one of the bullies to the kid, Augie. And he eventually realizes that his behavior is wrong and he shouldn't have been like that, and he needs to be nice to people. So he FaceTimes his grandmother and tells her that he's got the school project that he has to do, and he needs to talk to her and wants to hear the story of her life back when she was a child dealing with concentration camps and the Nazis. So we go back in time to the 1930s in France, and that is the majority of this book.
I like that art a lot.
Yeah, and RJ does the art too. I didn't know she was an artist. She can do anything. So I really love the art too. It was I don't know how to explain this story other than it just makes you, you go through it, and it is really a wonder story in the fact that it teaches you the power of kindness and the horribleness of, what people went through with Nazis and the concentration camps and everything. So she tells Julian about her life. And another reason she tells him is because she's like, okay, I know that your behavior is something that you regret, and I want you to understand what people have been through, and you may not even realize it. So she tells her whole story of when she was a child, growing up Jewish, and she goes to the school that accepts all religions. So that's not an issue, except when it becomes an issue and the Nazis invade and try to come to her school and gather up all the Jewish children, she ends up hiding. Teachers try to hide them. She kind of goes off from the teacher who's hiding all the Jewish children. And that's ultimately how she was saved from the horrible fate of going to a concentration camp. She has a classmate who ends up helping her, and he is bullied by people because he has polio. So he uses crutches, his legs are all twisted. And she actually never gave him the time of day either until this happens. So she stays in that family's barn for a very long time. Her parents are taken away. She doesn't know where her parents are. And it's really that story of all of those years where this gracious family helps her out and hides her from a really horrific fate. And, you get to learn about her living in this barn. This is her in the barn, talking to her classmate again, that she never really gave the time of day because everyone was mean to him and she didn't want people to be mean to her. So she just wasn't nice to him. And obviously that's never right. But the overall themes within these wonder stories is you shouldn't treat people that way. You just treat people with kindness. And so we go through her whole life, and it's a really crazy journey that, this isn't nonfiction, but so many people, these are their stories,
Yeah.
So it felt like it was something that needs to be told, even though it's not nonfiction, stories you don't hear enough. And at the end, let's see, so we go back, we go through this whole journey, which is just incredible and really great. And we go back and, here's Julian crying and feeling like he's really happy that he knows of his grandmother's life now and why he was named Julian. He gets to learn that. And then she's looking around at present day, 2019 where we live and feeling some similarities between some things that are going on now and what she felt back then. And it's a great just lesson for everyone. And it doesn't feel like preachy or anything. It's just like, this is what happened. And it's really great. And there's really good afterwards by, people who, she has direct ties to people who experienced these sort of things.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like she just kind of pulled all out of her butt, right? And you kind of get to learn some actual history in the back. So the whole thing was very powerful, really, really great. I think this one's going to go under the radar for a lot of people who don't already know about this author. So I wanted to highlight here, especially, this was so great. I want everyone to pick this up. This is a nice hardcover. The spine is interesting. I don't know if you could tell. There's like 2 boards. And then this is like a fabric. So it opens really nice. I don't know. It's interesting. I've never seen a book like that. It's nice. But yeah, people need to pick this up. I love the art. I love the story. It's you're going to feel it. And it's just really great and powerful.
Now, is it available on Hoopla? Because I have Hoopla now.
I don't know if it is, but you could check. But that's amazing, and you should use it.
I have 7 checkouts a month on Hoopla now.
Nice.
I went in the driving rain a couple of weeks ago to do it.
It's worth it now. The moment an Image book comes out, you can read it, or a DC book.
It's Image and DC, right?
Yeah. Okay. Those are the ones that come out like the moment of. Boom is like a week or 2 behind.
Okay.
So I think Dark Horse, maybe the week of. I'm not positive.
Oh, Dark Horse too. Okay.
Yeah, Dark Horse is on. That's where I read my Black Hammer side stories because I have a feeling there's going to be a hardcover.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Let's see. What else? I read so many books, and I just want to make sure I can explain them well because
I get that.
Yeah, I read a really good book, but I don't know that I can explain it that well. It was by Matt Hawkins, and it was called Symmetry, but it was so complex, I don't know that I can explain it that well.
Well, that's all people need to know. People need to know you liked it and what it's called. That's it.
Okay, good.
They're like, oh, Jess read that. I'll read it.
Symmetry. It's instead of being a dystopia, it's a utopia that it's based on. I don't even know if I can read the back and do it justice. Let's see, is this volume 1? Oh, it's such tiny writing. Good heavens. If I'm going to read the back. Artificial intelligence has become ubiquitous, and your best friend is Raina, your personal AI. Children choose their gender and their names. Human relationships are confined to reproduction. Are confined to reproduction. These were all the diamond absolutes of Michael's world until everything changed with a chaotic act of nature, a solar flare. With their perfect balanced utopia falling apart at the seams, Michael and his brother Matthew must survive for the first time in untamed nature with the assistance of Maricela, a beautiful woman whose very existence upsets everything they once believed to be true. This is based in the future, obviously. The world is separated. Mankind has created an artificial intelligence that rules everything. Machines do all the work. And you heard how genders are assigned when you turn to age 12. You decide your own gender. And you have a personal assistant in your head that helps you with everything. And it's mostly a life of leisure. But everybody is separated. Everything is segregated. They're the whites. African Americans are their own separate area. The Asians are their own part of the world. And then the Latinos are another part of the world. They're ruled by their own councils of elders that get together. And there's something in their food that keeps everybody calm and happy. And a solar flare erupts on the whites in the whites area like an EMP, and wipes out their artificial intelligence, and so they're all on their own for the first time. And so it's pretty gripping what they have to deal with, because they've all got robots, and they're all on their own for the first time, dealing with actual feelings and things like that. And there's a woman, I forget how the woman got there, but she's Maricela is there, I don't know, as an envoy, I guess, and she's from the Latin American culture, and she's there when the solar flare happens. And one of the whites, they're called that because, well, their skin's white and they dress in white. One of the whites falls in love with her, and they create a child that's of mixed race, which is a huge controversy on this earth, which leads to Symmetry 2, which is 20 years later, the child of Michael and Maricela is alive, is alone, apart and different from every other human on the planet. She works with the artificial intelligence to try and create real lasting change. Her name is Julia, and she is determined to live up to the legacies her parents fought so hard to leave her. Julia faces trials in several nations across the world in order to uncover the truth of why the world was segregated in the first place, and learning how frightening her presence as a mixed-race child is. Presence as a mixed-race child is. Will this be the end of everything, or will Julia usher in a new era of prosperity and peace? And so the art is great, and the whole concept is by Matt Hawkins, who started Postal and Tithe and Think Tank. And if you know those books, you know that he has all kinds of reference material in the back to deal with artificial intelligence and utopia and sedatives in your food and everything else. And it's much more complex than I'm able to describe it. But these books are really, really good. And I think instead of a dystopia, it deals with a utopia future and what it means to people and mankind, and why the races were segregated, and how people tried to bring peace to the world, and what peace really means to people. And I thought these books were really well done. And that's Symmetry from Image. And if you have Hoopla, go ahead and do it.
I'm going to do it.
Now that I have Hoopla, I should have done it, but I bought these before I had Hoopla.
You're going to save a lot of money.
I hope so.
That sounds great. I'm definitely going to Hoopla that. I have one more book I want to talk about. It's mainstream, y'all. Uh-oh.
No way.
It is a big 2. In fact, it's not even Marvel, which is my preferred, you know. It is DC. I read a DC book. What's going on?
What the heck?
I know. I read Naomi.
Oh, I want to hear about this. I bought this and I haven't read it yet.
All right, Naomi season 1. This is a standard hardcover. I got it from the library, so I don't care. It's actually a really nice hardcover, though, and the pages are like matte pages. A lot of people get mad about that. I like that. So, with all that said, and Superman was in this book.
Ooh.
And I hate him.
Oh, what?
But I really enjoyed Naomi. So, Naomi loves Superman. She's your average teenager who just loves Superman, and she wants to see him. So anytime he like lands in her town, she rushes out to see him, and she always misses him. And it's sad for her. So not for me, I don't care. But she loves Superman. So she's obsessed, and she just thinks he's great, and he's a great hero. And of course, you know, that's what happens with these sort of stories. And look at this art, by the way. It's gorgeous. Very nice. So, and I love the colors. So, you know, she has adopted parents, and she doesn't know much about like where she came from and everything. And of course, she ends up finding out. I don't think this is a spoiler, because you know at the front she's going to be some kind of hero, right? Like it's a superhero story. So her father ends up being like an alien, of course, and she has these powers that she ends up finding out about. And, you know, the whole story is her leading up to that point, though. So maybe that is a spoiler. But did you think you're just going to hang out with this teenager? You're not. Of course, she's going to have powers, right?
I didn't know that.
Oh, well, come on. So the whole thing is her trying to discover all this and figure out what happened with her dad, and you see a lot of flashbacks of like her dad and what he went through and how she came into her parents' life, which is very interesting. When these were coming out in singles, I kept hearing a lot about it because they were selling out of like first print, second print, third print. I mean, people were going nuts about it. And this is a Bendis book. A lot of people don't like Bendis. Guess what? I like Bendis. I like this. However, look at all these text bubbles. Although, look at this art. So it works out. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a good journey. I look forward to more from her. It kind of does end where she just gets her powers. Now, this is too much text. What are we doing here, Bendis? Like,
holy smoke. This
is a novel. But not every page is like this. But this was the one where I was like, oh, yeah, this dude needs to stop. But it was a really great journey. I do recommend checking this out, especially if you want a new hero that doesn't exist and until now. And I like that. You know, I liked Bendis' Ultimate Spider-Man. It reminded me of elements of that. You know, he's good at telling teenager stories, I think. And it kind of ends where she's just now discovering her powers and what she's going to do with it. So this is called season 1. I'm sure there's going to be season 2 coming, and I'm going to read it. It was fun.
Nice.
Yeah. So you should read it. You have it, right?
I have it. Yeah.
Check it out.
I have it somewhere here. It's in the new desk shelf that my laptop's sitting on right now. Must be over on the other side. But it's somewhere here.
Yeah, Lloyd Wong is saying Bendis is known for being text heavy. That's true. I wish it would just, like, I don't need the narration. Like, I feel like these days we don't need much of that at all. But what I showed you was, like, all narration. And I'm like, I don't care if you have a lot of dialogue. People talk a lot. I get it. But that was where I was like, okay, but it's not that bad in this. Just that kind of that one page.
Okay, it's not. Okay.
I love how we're having. So Larry says that matte paper used in some DC books is my new pet peeve. Right after Lloyd says, I'm in agreement, matte is my preference too.
Yeah, we seem to be having a slight disagreement here. Some people love matte, some people don't. I don't actually care. Matte, gloss, whatever.
Yeah, that's how I feel. Although when I see matte paper, I'm like, oh, it's nice. Like, why do people not like this? I don't know.
I don't care either way.
Yeah.
I'm happy with whatever, and people can like whatever they want. It's fine with me. Let's see. I think that's probably pretty much it for me. I will say that the latest Gideon Falls was crazy good. I definitely can't explain anything that goes on in this book. I don't know what's going on. But it's awesome. I don't know. I don't understand it well enough to explain it to everybody, but it's crazy good. I mean, this is going to be the last upgrade I do when this comes out in library edition, because I can't afford to keep upgrading from trades and stuff. This is what I'm going to use Hoopla for.
Yeah, I was going to say that's where I'm reading Gideon Falls. Like,
yeah, but yeah, that's what I need to start doing, is reading that stuff on Hoopla and then getting the big, huge books.
That's the way to do it, man.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to do.
It'll save you money.
Yeah, that's what I'm excited about.
So I need to get caught up on that on Hoopla, actually. Maybe that's what I'll do next, Gideon Falls. I've only read like half the first trade, and then I got distracted.
No, that's a big, thick trade.
Yeah, so I'm like, oh, I got to go back.
No, do they have them as trades or individual? I guess they have them as trades, right?
Yeah, they have them as trades. Some of the publishers do like issues as they come out. Like Boom is doing issues as they come out, but when the trade comes out, that'll be on there too. So that's your preference.
Okay. Ooh, Wonder Woman trailer's coming out tomorrow. That's good. Hayden McGee says Wonder Woman is coming out tomorrow. I want to see that. Well, that's pretty much it for me. Um,
Yeah, me too.
Okay.
I love how we were like, are we going to review all these? And then we just reviewed all of them.
Yeah, we did.
Like all of them.
We did it anyway. So, how's Fangirls going?
Good.
You're doing it Friday nights now? Or Friday days?
You know what? I've had such a crazy work schedule that we've just had to move it around a little. But we're doing this Sunday. So if you guys want to check it out this Sunday, we'll be on the Omnibus Collectors Network at the regular time, 8 p.m. Eastern, I think. Check out our Twitter at Fangirls Live, and that's where we post updates. So if something does change, like last weekend, I had to go to work at last minute and work a 12-hour day, so I could not join. Yeah. So, stuff happens sometimes, but we let you know on Twitter, so check us out there. Also, Fangirls Assemble on Instagram. We like to update and keep you informed. Yeah.
And you can see my stuff, OmniDog on OmniDog's Vault on YouTube and OmniDogs_Vault on Instagram. And tomorrow, Omni Bros are doing our show at noon, and I will be doing my horror show tomorrow. We couldn't do it today, so I'll be doing the horror movie review show with Jenny tomorrow. So thank you very much. Multiversity 777, I'm sorry you're just tuning in because we're just tuning out.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Hey, this is a good question.
Ooh. We welcome you. We welcome you. Just throw on the wig. It'll be fine. You don't have to look it up.
If I can keep my goatee, I'll put the makeup on. I like that.
Yeah, good.
Okay. Thank you very much for tuning in. I appreciate it. And thank you to my co-host. And thank you to the viewers. Thank you to the chat. And of course, peace and love. Peace and love.
Thanks, guys.